Hey friends, I am Kara, and welcome to this session on how I'm using Claude, Obsidian, and Whisperflow, or your favorite voice dictation tool, to automate my workflows and put more content out into the world. If we haven't had the chance to meet yet, I am Kara Monroe. I am a higher education consultant, a content creator, and I do a ton of work in productivity and financial coaching and personal coaching as well. So I've got my hands on a lot of different things, and keeping all of those balls in the air, things can get lost. And so I really try to make sure that I am automating as much as possible and as much as makes sense to me. And so today I'm going to take you on a little dive into how I have done some of that work. So when I came to this work, I came to it wondering, what do I do about AI? I was an early adopter. I'm an early adopter of most technologies. And I was like, prompts are great. I can ask it a question and it can generate some content for me. This is nice. It gets me past the blank page. I love it. But I want something that does some of the stuff that I hate. And so that's really where I'm coming to this from is, first of all, can it do the things that I'm not good at doing regularly? And I'll give you that in a couple of different iterations. First of all, can it do the things I don't like to do, like your expense report or reconciling your checkbook, perhaps? That one you got to be a little cautious with. But those are the kinds of examples I want you to think about. But also to be more consistent. I want to do these things the same way every time, and having the robot help me do that is a good way of doing it. And finally, as I started to do my research into this, I wanted to think about what platform is going to be the way to do this so that I don't have to rebuild this every time Claude changes or OpenAI changes or the next new great AI tool comes out. And so that's really the approach that I have taken with this method. So, like I said, I'm an early adopter of technology, and so I've been using AI since it first became publicly available. I am a user, I'm not a technologist. I am a little bit of a techie person, but I am not a programmer. I am not a developer. I'm just a good user. And what I would say is, in this world, the things that I'm going to demonstrate to you, I'm about 3 months ahead of where you might be today if you've just started to think about this and this video attracted you. So I want to give credit where credit is due to two really smart people. RJ Nestor, who is a good friend of mine, his Reclaim Your Creative Mind course is wonderful. I will make sure that the link that you see here is in the description wherever you're watching this so that you can use that. And it is very focused on using AI tools. It's pretty tool agnostic. So RJ works with a number of different tools, and the students in his course are working with a number of different tools. And it's also agnostic to whether you're using a Windows or a Mac device. So both of those are possible. David Sparks' Robot Field Guide, and the reason why I started calling mine a robot, is very Mac focused and very Claude Cowork focused. David Sparks, aka Mac Sparky, has been a Mac guy for years. So he is all Apple all the time, and he does Claude Cowork. I will also make sure that the link to his is in the chat. But I am also going to launch my own version with my own spin on it. So if you're watching this, please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like information on that. This says mid-July. I'm actually leaning towards mid-June, and it'll be a 5-week cohort-based course to start. At least that's what I think it's going to be. So let me introduce you to Robot Kara. She's not me. First of all, you already met her because she built this slide deck. That is one of the great things about this tool, specifically Claude Cowork, is it can build assets like Word documents, PowerPoint files, Microsoft Excel templates, and spreadsheets for you. It can do that work. So the idea of that expense report you have to put in, very real thing that it works beautifully with. I have an expense report tool that I use with different clients. It generates them, sends off all my receipts and my spreadsheet using whatever template that client has. So definitely a really, really awesome opportunity to automate some of these things that are a little bit more challenging. And the great thing about this is I show this to you, and I'm going to show you how to write a skill as well. I'll talk about what a skill is in a second. But I don't write any of this. I just talk to the robot actually by voice using whisper flow, and it will build itself out. So I'll show you how all of that works as we go along here. So let me go ahead and move on here and talk about the three pillars of my system and where your system could differ for you. So first of all, I am using Claude, specifically Claude Cowork. I am on the $100 a month plan. I have only run out of hours once. I was at the point for me where it made sense for that because I was going to have to hire a virtual assistant for my business. This was actually less expensive. So this was a good option for me. For you could potentially get by with just the $20 a month plan. I don't think you can do Cloud Cowork with the free plan, but I think the $20 a month plan you could get by with, and that could work quite well. Then you need a place where you're going to store skills, which we're going to talk about in a second. And for me, that is a tool called Obsidian. If you are like, I hate Obsidian, you don't have to use it. You just need a folder full of text files, and you need to be able to edit those in some way. So you could use Notepad, you could use whatever. You could let Claude build those for you without ever even looking at them in Obsidian. You could just look at them in a text editor. So that's an option too. I've just been an Obsidian user for years. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, that's probably why you're here, is because of Obsidian. And then finally, our skills. Skills are the specific workflows or standard operating procedures that you and the robot build together in order to create the automation in your life that you want to do. We're going to build a couple of them, or at least one of them here together as we go through this so that you can see how it works to build a skill in action and see how easy it is. So what the process looks like in daily use is once I build the skill, then I can use that skill. And the skill is called by a trigger. And that trigger is just a text phrase that I would normally use in my daily life to trigger that specific activity. The trigger is stored as a part of the skill. So if I forget the trigger, I can always go look it up. That doesn't usually happen. The robot then uses that trigger to pick the right skill, read its file, do the skill. It will execute exactly what's in there. And then for me, because I use Obsidian, my vault gets updated and my knowledge grows as a result of that. So in the skill system, let me just give you a couple of examples. One of my skills is start my day. It will check both of my calendars, create a daily note for me in Obsidian, and review my overdue tasks so that I can sort of prioritize what needs to be done. Also reviews my active tasks, but it chose overdue and I just left it here on the slide. I swim, not competitively, I just swim for health benefits. And I have a workout logging skill. So I just swam 2,000 yards and it will give me it'll ask me some questions about the rest of my stats for that swim, and it will log it to my daily note. If I want to build a proposal for a client, it will actually read my project note that I've taken or that I feed into it. It will generate a branded Microsoft Word file following my scope of work template in minutes. This used to take me about an hour per project to do. I now generate them using the notes from the scoping call that I had with the client, and that is drafted in 30 minutes or in 5 minutes or less. And then it will also log my mileage. Now it is looking up the distance for me. It's logging it to my tax tracker, and I actually don't even now have to tell it to log the mileage. It knows that if it has a meeting that has an address other than my home or a Zoom in it, that it will log that mileage for me to the tax tracker. So I don't even tell it that anymore. It says 40 skills and counting. And as I was looking when I was doing this live a minute ago, because I forgot to hit the record on the Zoom, I haven't automated the robot to do that yet. I actually have over 80 skills. So they build pretty quickly and pretty easily. All right, so let's take a look at this system in action. So I am going to pull up Obsidian and Claude next to each other and show you a couple of things of how this works. We're here with Claude on the left side of my screen and Obsidian on the right side of my screen. And I'm just going to do something very simple that I do on a regular basis, which is update my log. So here in my daily note in Obsidian, I have this log and I update it throughout the day with different things that I am working on. So update the log that I am re-recording the Meet Robot Kara video because I forgot to hit record on the Zoom. So I did that using Whisper Flow. I just held down a key on my keyboard and I spoke to it, and it typed that all out for me, and I'm going to hit enter. And you'll see right now it has added that item to my daily log. Now you might think you could have typed that just that fast, but I can add 15 items to my daily log. I can give it a scan of a piece of paper that I actually keep beside me during the day where I'm making notes, and it can process all of that to my daily note at one time. So that update daily log skill is one skill that's a part of multiple other things that it can do. It can also do things like record a transaction on my personal checking account of $40 to Community Health Network for the copay on my visit with Colina on Tuesday of this week. So I have had it build a financial tracking system for me in Obsidian that it then exports to Excel on a regular basis. And it's going to do this, that it will do that for me. And it's going to tell you that it's going to log it to several different places for me. And this goes to that idea of not only do I want to make sure that my finances are tracked accurately and that I'm flagging business and tax expenses and all of those appropriately. And this, because I'm working with the robot to make sure that gets done regularly, it also makes sure that I am tying expenses back to the notes so I don't have to wonder, did I pay for that office visit or did I do those things? So you'll notice it's talking about all of these different things that it's done. And there we go. It has updated all of those items and it's logged it right here. Now I'm actually gonna have to go in and undo that. And let me just see if it'll undo it. I'll tell it to do that. I'll let you know. One of the other things that the robot helps me do is publish content. So I publish things on YouTube, I have a newsletter, I have a circle community, I have a couple of websites, and getting those updated and putting content out to them can be a real challenge. And this is an area where I have found the robot to be incredibly valuable. I love to write, I love to create, I love to put content together, but it can sit in my notes and in my vault for weeks and not get published just simply because I don't take the time to do it. Now with the robot, I can write the content and then tell it to start working on publishing it. And all I have to do is approve it and make sure it's ready to go and hit publish. It's a much more streamlined function. Let me show you one of the things that I have built with it that has been a dream of mine since I started my business 4 years ago. As I mentioned, one of the things that I do is run a consulting firm focused on higher education institutions. And one of the areas of practice that I have is helping institutions prepare for their institutional accreditation visits. So on my website, this is my Monarch Strategies website, I've had this organizational growth page for a while. And if you scroll down through here, you'll notice that there's this specific areas of expertise. And I have wanted to build out a hub around each of these different specific areas of expertise since I started my business 4 years ago. I've got loads of content on my computer and on my hard drive. I just need to build it. And even though I'm pretty techie, the idea of building these web pages and managing them, getting them all doing the troubleshooting and all that, I just don't want to do it. It's not work that I love. So I've started with this accreditation hub, and in less than a week, I built this with the robot's help. So all the content is mine. But the robot put it all on the page, did all the formatting, made it match my brand and my style. So it used the information in my website and it brought my whole vision to life, including this readiness assessment that I have built. So I had this idea for this self-assessment that institutions could do that they could then use to decide sort of where am I in terms of the needs that I have around using Kara's business. And they can take the assessment and I'll just show it to you really quickly. I couldn't have built this by myself. I don't know how. I don't have the technical wherewithal. But with the robot, it could do it. So it will actually record their scores on these 20 questions, generate a self report to them, and record all of that into Kit, which is my newsletter tool, so that I am then building a CRM of clients to my business. Additionally, it helped me build my resource library. I had all of these documents, again, already on my hard drive, and I just formatted it with the help of the robot using a template that I created. It put it all in the template for me, and then I just had to zhuzh it a little bit to make sure it looked exactly the way I wanted and read through it to make sure it didn't change anything. But it built that, and then it helped me build these web pages and did all of the connection to Kit. So this is an embedded Kit subscription form. It did all of that for me and launched this. So now I'm just going through the final testing phase. This will be ready to launch in just a couple of weeks to my clients and will help me start growing my business even more effectively than I already do today. So we're going to use the Claude tool to build a skill. And a skill is like a standard operating procedure that you would follow. And this is actually your standard operating procedure. So that's what we're going to tell it to do here, that you would follow to execute this task. The robot is then going to turn that into language that it understands. It's still going to be plain English. You're still going to be able to read 95% of it. There might be a little computer code in there that it needs to actually execute the task for you, but it's going to generate that information for you and let you see that skill when it's done. So I have just loaded up a new task here and asked the robot to review its skills and capabilities. When you start using co-work with skills, this is a good thing to start with any new conversation. And I've set this to the Sonnet model. You could use any of the AI models. Sonnet's a little less token intensive, saves a little bit of money and a little bit of token use. So I just like to do that one. So then I'm going to just talk to the robot using my voice command using Whisper Flow and tell it what I want it to build. I'd like you to build an invoicing system inside of the Vault. I would like you to generate a Microsoft Word formatted template that we could use for invoices. And then I'd like to have an invoice tracking system that's tracking invoices by each project. This is only for Monarch Strategies projects. We don't need to build this for any other projects. What questions do you have? So I'm going to pause there and just tell you about that. What questions do you have? One of the things that I want the robot to do is to always ask me questions. And so I just ask it that to say, hey, I'm here and I'm happy to help you build this out correctly. So I've just given it a very basic idea of what I want it to do, and we'll see what it does. So the robot has come back and it's going to ask me some questions. This is a standard format that it uses to ask these questions. So it's asking me, where do I want them to be? We'll do a dedicated folder. What invoice status is you want? Draft, sent, paid, canceled. Okay. What should the invoice numbering convention be? No, I actually like its option first. I'm going to go with its first option. Okay, so I've answered that first round of questions, and we'll see if it comes back with any more, which it did. I was thinking there that it wasn't in the vault, but it is, so we'll see if it needs me to do that. Okay. So it just wanted it in a different format. When I'm taking things out of Obsidian, it sometimes wants them in a different format. You could also upload that image file if that was something you needed to do. So it's going to build, and I will be back with you when it's done. All right, so about 3 to 5 minutes have passed. I was working on something else, so I didn't even realize it. It's doing its thing. So let's look at what it did. It's got the logo file, it's made the word template, it's gone through all of its processes to check that. Now it's building some specific Obsidian content related to this. I'll show that to you in just a second. And then it's updated its skill index so that it knows that this skill exists and how to call it. And then it's done all of the normal updating that I want it to do as a part of it. So first of all, let's look at the invoice template. So let me reshare. All right, so I'm sharing my whole screen now. So let's take a look at the folder and the invoice template. Let's see if we even like this. I mean, it's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's okay. And great. I'd like it to fit on one page. So I might make some tweaks to this before I actually use it, which is totally okay. I can tweak the live Word document. I don't have to wait for it to do this. I don't have to force it to do that for me. I can tweak it myself, but this isn't bad. It's okay. So that's good. And it's pulled all my brand colors and all of that from existing documentation that it has in the vault. And then it has also built a couple of files in Obsidian for me. So let's look at the actual skill file that it built. You're looking at my Obsidian vault now. Let me not do that. So let's look first at its actual skill file. I actually linked it here. So this is its invoice skill that it built, and it tells you exactly what it covers, how it does its work, the trigger phrases, and then the specific steps that it goes. So again, as I mentioned, this is human readable. I can read this. I can go, does this work? Does this not work for me? What else is it doing? It's making a lot of connections to other things in my Obsidian vault because I already have a lot of information built out in here. But it will do that. And then it's going to track the invoices in a note. It's funny. Its example is not a real college that doesn't exist in my vault. And it's going to go through there and make all of this. This is great. It will confirm this for me, and then how it will update things. And then I can also open the dashboard. We'll do that in a second. So it's also built a dashboard for me. I don't think there's going to be much on this, but we'll pull it up. Yes, because there's actually nothing that it's pulling from. So this makes sense. I know it looks like just computer garbage, but there's nothing for it to pull from yet. So it makes sense that it would have nothing yet because I haven't created an invoice. So that is great. That is how easy it is to create a skill, and I can continue to modify that. So as I've used it and as I test it, I will modify it to see what works, what doesn't, and it can continue to add layers and layers of information for me. So really useful process to build out these skill templates. So I hope that that has given you a little taste of what is possible with this robot version. As I mentioned, I am building out my own class on this topic, and I will put links wherever you're watching this to all of the links and resources that I shared today. If you have questions, if you want to get started today, reach out. I'm happy to do custom coaching solutions as well, but I will be building my course and launching it in my Circle community come June of 2026. Thanks and have a great day.